In this next part, what we are going to end up doing is solving the same type of problem with variables and constants on both sides of the inequality, but we'll try solving it so we place the variables on the left side to see what we're going to end up doing differently. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate the variable term by subtracting 5c from both sides of this inequality. And when I do that, now I'm left with this negative 4 is greater than 3c plus 2. So I solve it the same way. Now I'm isolating the variable further by eliminating this constant of 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Now, I have to be very careful because these are the same sign, so I need to add those two numbers together. And when I add those, I end up with a negative 6 is greater than 3c. So what I'm going to do from here is eliminate that 3, the coefficient of c, by dividing by 3. Now notice, I'm dividing by positive 3. So I do not switch this inequality sign. I keep it the same direction. Only when you multiply or divide by the negative, so that means when the variable term, the coefficient, is negative, that's when you're going to switch the sign. So I've got negative 2 is greater than c. Now I read it that way because the negative 2, the inequality sign, is open to it. Negative 2 is greater than c. But I could read the opposite direction. I could start with the c and say c is less than, because it points towards the c. c is less than negative 2. So you could write your answer this way for me on a test, but on multiple choice tests, they might not have the answer that way. Typically, they place the c on the left side of the inequality. Now if we do that, notice that it points towards the c and is open towards the negative 2. In order to have the same answer, I would need to do the same thing. So I would need it to point towards the c and be open to the negative 2. And in doing so, I had to switch that inequality sign. So I will also switch the inequality sign if I bring my variable to the opposite side of the inequality sign once I solve for it. So from there, I'm going to place the negative 2 in the center. Bigger numbers, negative 1. Smaller is negative 3. This time again we have an open circle on the negative 2. And just as the last two problems, we have c is smaller than negative 2. So we're going off to the left. Let's try another problem like that. How about this one? Let's go with a 2x minus 4 is less than or equal to 4x plus 8. So if I was to solve this one, let's try doing it the same way. Let's say we go ahead and try to isolate the variable, and we decide, well, I think it might be easier to subtract the 2x from both sides. So we go ahead and do that, and we isolated the x's on the right-hand side of the equation. So what's left over? Well, we've got this negative 4 is less than or equal to, now 2x plus 8. We have 2x because 4 minus 2 makes 2. So the next step would be to move this 8 to the left side of the inequality. And when doing so, I have the same sign. So again, whenever we have the same sign, we need to add those two numbers together, which makes negative 12. Bring down the inequality sign, bring down the 2x. So now we're going to eliminate that coefficient. The way we do that is we divide by that coefficient of 2. And when doing that, we've got ourselves a negative number. So So negative 12 divided by 2 makes negative 6. Again, note that we're not switching the inequality sign because we divided by a positive number, not a negative. So it's only when the variable term, the coefficient, is negative when we'll switch the sign. But again, just like as I said before, oftentimes we'll see the x term on the left side of the inequality. And so if we do that, see how it's open towards the x and points towards the negative 6? We would need to do that same process if we are to have the same answer. So here we need it open towards the x, just as it is here, and pointing towards the negative 6, just as it is here. So again, if you move the x, once solved for, if you move that x to the other side of the inequality, you need to switch the inequality sign to make it match the same as it was above. So we'll go ahead and draw that line. Put negative 6 in the center, negative 5 and a negative 7 off to the left-hand side. This time we have a solid circle on the negative 6 because 6 is a solution because it's greater than or equal to. And since it's greater than, that means we're going to end up drawing the line towards the bigger numbers. Well, we'll see 2 more problems in part 3.